Hey, what's up everybody? True Boxing here. Thank you for coming back to Get Hit with the Truth. So today we are doing the 2023 top 10s as we're going to look at my number one lightweight in the world right now. I mean junior welterweight, I'm sorry. My number one junior welterweight in the world right now at 140 pounds. As we finish up the 140 pound division, the undefeated and newly crowned WBC junior welterweight champ, Devin Haney. Now, before we get into that, if you could smash the like button, leave a comment, or subscribe to the channel, I really do appreciate any and all support that I can get as I continue to build my channel here. So, this video is going to discuss Devin Haney, but it's also going to discuss the state of the 140 pound division heading into 2024. So, starting with Haney though. Haney made his debut at 140. He wasn't ranked he wasn't ranked at 140 heading into the year. He made his debut there in December. When he moved up, he gave up all his titles at 135 as he was the undisputed champion there, and he would challenge Regis Prograis for the WBC junior welterweight title. You know, a lot of people going in thought that it would be competitive to an extent, myself included, but I really wasn't surprised that Haney ended up dominating Prograis over 12 one-sided rounds. I was surprised that he dominated him so easily, but I wasn't surprised that it was somewhat of a it was a one-sided fight. I wasn't surprised that it was a one-sided fight because I felt like age could be a factor and styles could be a factor as well. So Devin at 25 absolutely dominates and becomes a two-division world champion with the win, and pushes forward into 2024. Now, some may argue that Teofimo Lopez should be number one, and you could be right, but I had to compare the two resumes of the two fighters, and it was very close. It was, but I looked at everything across the board. Their fights outside of their big victories, like Lomachenko. First off, the Lomachenko fight, I watched that one. I called that one dead even. I'll tell you why. The Lopez and Haney fight, the Lopez fight with Lomachenko ended in, it was controversial. Lopez got the win. I felt like the fight was a draw personally, but I felt that way because Lomachenko showed Lopez so much respect in the first half of the fight and didn't put his foot on the gas pedal until the second half, and I felt like that was a key factor. Now, Lomachenko and Haney, I felt like Lomachenko won for sure, but that was because he was willing to attack Haney from start to finish. So, so for me, both fights ended somewhat controversial, I just called it a wash. And then I looked at the rest of their resumes, which are decent, pretty solid. Really tough to put one over the other, but for me, it was really the Kambosos showdown. Lopez lost to Kambosos by a split decision, and Haney absolutely dominated Kambosos by unanimous decisions both times. Second fight, he really beat him up. So, for me, Devin Haney, slightly ahead. Lopez had a great performance against Josh Taylor. Haney had a great performance against Regis Prograis. Very tough to split those hairs. But for me, I gave the slight nod to Haney at the moment. Some people might not like that, but I think it's fair. Now, reaching back to the beginning of the year, Devin Haney, I'm going to say this again and again and again, I felt like he lost that fight clearly to Vasily Lomachenko. I thought Loma won 8 to 9 rounds, and I thought it was clear, and I thought he deserved the unanimous decision. Now, calling a fight a draw is tough. Calling a fight a robbery is very tough. To me, this is the next step down from a robbery. It was somewhat close, but I felt like Loma pushed the action and attacked and definitely won more rounds. My biggest concern here is that I did not feel Devin Haney won 7 rounds to earn a decision here. That was clear to me. It wasn't how much Loma won. It was more how much Devin didn't win, if that makes sense. And that really disappointed me what happened there. But it is what it is. And Devin Haney wanted nothing to do with a rematch, even going so far as to his dad stating that he didn't think the fight was really even that close to warrant a rematch, which is complete bullshit. And I feel Devin Haney, in my opinion, as great of a fighter as he is, and you know, I am not going to sit here and punish him outside of what the factual evidence is. Because look at me. I could put him very easily behind Teofimo Lopez if I was angry or a Devin Haney hater. I am not. So I appreciate how good the guy really is. I do. Which is why I have him number one, because I feel he deserves to be number one over Lopez. And that's taking the Lomachenko fights for both men out of the equation. But I am a fan of boxing. I love it. And I feel like they definitely got that wrong. And the fact that Devin Haney doesn't want to entertain a rematch with Lomachenko, in my opinion, is a joke. Because all the great fighters rematch their toughest opponent. I liken this fight a lot to the Andre Ward-Sergey Kovalev first fight, which I absolutely, and I was pulling for Andre Ward, I absolutely feel Sergey Kovalev deserved the win in that fight. And I feel, again, it wasn't how much Sergey won, it was how much Ward didn't win. And I absolutely didn't think Ward won 7 to 8 rounds to warrant a unanimous decision, because he also took the knockdown in that fight. And I thought that was ridiculous that they gave it to him. But Ward rematch Kovalev. Floyd Mayweather, Jose Luis Castillo. Absolutely feel Castillo won that first fight. No doubt. They gave it to Floyd. Floyd rematch Castillo. Floyd rematch Marcos Maidana. When you're a great fighter, and you truly feel like, and the fans are demanding it, and in this case, what makes this one worse for me was it was similar to Ward and Kovalev. You could make as much or more money off of a rematch than you could for any other fight that is available. And I'm not talking about Tank Davis. I know he tried with Tank Davis to make the fight. Tank doesn't really want to fight the top guys. We know this about Tank Davis. But what disappointed me about Haney is he really didn't even try for a rematch with Lomachenko, even though he could make more money with Loma than he can with most with most fighters in the sport right now, or in or around his divisions. Definitely would make more in a rematch with Loma than he would with a showdown with Regis Prograis at 140. And I know a lot of people say, oh, he was, he's too big for lightweight. Well, that didn't stop him from trying to make a Tank Davis fight at lightweight and waiting around to give a low ball offer to Shakur Stevenson. If you're truly outgrown the division, you do what Lee Wood did at featherweight, and you give up your belt immediately. Because that's what Wood did after his fight with Warrington. He moved up, or he declared himself no longer the champion right away. It took Devin Haney over 6 months to vacate all of his world titles. So obviously he could still make the weight if he wanted to, and he never wanted the rematch. And again, that to me is why I absolutely feel why Devin Haney ducked Loma. But heading into 2024 now, Devin Haney really does have a lot of pull now. You can make money with fighting Devin. He's got a big name. So it's really up in the air on what is going to happen with him, though, because we really don't know. Because right now, there were talks going on up until this past weekend that him and Ryan Garcia were in negotiations. But then Ryan stated that he wanted Rolly Romero instead and asked Golden Boy to make the fight happen. But Rolly Romero might be tied to a showdown with what's his name, a rematch with Ishmael Barroso, who just knocked out Ohara Davies over the weekend to secure the mandatory shot at Rolly Romero. So if that's the case, Ryan might be waiting for a Rolly match until the end of the year. So right now, Devin, I think the Ryan fight could definitely still happen, because De La Hoya kind of overlooked Ryan's comments and stated on the telecast that he was still going to try to make that fight with Haney. But there's also, you know, is unification possible this year? Teofimo Lopez, it would have to be available, but Lopez also is going to have to deal with a mandatory at some point. He's fighting Jermaine Ortiz already. So unless Lopez is planning on fighting 3 times, or if the WBO is going to allow a unification bout, I don't know how real a unification is, even though I would love to see these top 2 guys fight in unified belts. Subriel Matias, I think if Haney wanted to fight, he could probably get it if he offers the fight to Matias. Haney might avoid that because Matias is not a huge name yet, but that's a very good matchup. I'd love to see it. And then Haney and Rolly Romero for the WBA belt. As of right now, I can't see it because I think Rolly is going to be is going to have to deal with mandatory, and then maybe later in the year, depending on if Haney and Ryan actually fight, then we'll see. But I'm leaning towards the less likely. In terms of challengers, there's Josh Taylor. I don't see it. Catterall, maybe. You know, Jose Ramirez is now fighting on DAZN, so maybe Golden Boy could set up a fight between those 2. Arnold Barbosa Jr. is highly rated right now and is being avoided by Teofimo Lopez, it seems. And then there's also Sandor Martin, who is the WBC's #1 ranked contender right now. So he might be upgraded at some point. So it's just up in the air, but I think Devin is going to get and make the big fights. Luckily for Devin, he fights for the governing body that is the most lenient on mandatory challengers. And for good reason for the most part, because it opens up the door to make the biggest fights. And that's what people need to understand about the WBC, is they allow their guys, especially if the bigger the name, the more pull they have, they allow those guys to do what they want, you know, at most times. So that's how that works. Now, the state of the 140-pound division, it really revolves around Haney and Teofimo Lopez and what they do. I believe once they make their decisions, the other guys need to start fighting each other in eliminators to try to get these fights going, like Barbosa and Jose Ramirez. Now that they're both with Golden Boy, I say why not fight each other if Teofimo Lopez doesn't want to fight. I think Ramirez should come back very soon, get a tune-up bout, and then maybe towards the middle of the year, the WBO order a mandatory final eliminator between Ramirez and Arnold Barbosa to try to force Teofimo Lopez into the ring. Unless they order what's his name to fight Lopez, or Barbosa to fight Lopez next, as Barbosa's the #1 contender. But guys like that really need to fight each other. They need to get off their asses and go after each other. Sandor Martin's willing to fight anywhere. Subriel Matias is a promotional free agent willing to fight anywhere. Josh Taylor seems to only really be looking for big fights. Regis Prograis, though, is with DAZN. He can get some of these big name opponents, most likely, if he wants that smoke on his comeback. And Prograis is a name that guys will want to fight. So it's going to be an interesting year at 140, but the best part is 140 is extremely deep. Even on the PBC side, they have good fighters, even if they're not the champions. So guys like Gary Antoine Russell should be able to fight somebody legit and move up the ladder. So the 140-pound division has become very, very good, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how it flourishes in 2024. So that's it, guys. That's what I got. That is my #1 junior welterweight in the world right now, the undefeated WBC world champion Devin Haney. And that was also the state of the 140-pound division as my 2023 top 10s continue as I finish up the 140-pound junior welterweight division. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, smash the like button, leave a comment, or subscribe to the channel. I appreciate any and all support. This is True Boxing. You've been hit with the truth.